The rain came down hard that evening, soaking the cracked pavement of the small town's main street. Daniel stood under the flickering streetlight, clutching his daughter's tiny hand as she tugged at him, hungry and tired. He had just finished his shift at the garage, 12 hours for barely enough to cover rent, and all he could think about was whether he had enough milk left at home. That's when he heard it, the sound of a motorcycle sputtering, coughing, and dying just a few feet away. A sleek, expensive-looking machine, out of place in their struggling town, rolled to a stop. On it sat a woman, clearly frustrated, clearly lost. Daniel didn't know it yet, but in that moment, tired, broke, holding his child's hand, his quiet act of kindness would alter both their lives forever. The motorbike hissed as steam curled from its engine. The woman tugged off her helmet, shaking loose strands of damp hair. She was beautiful, but not in a polished, untouchable way, more in the sense of someone who looked exhausted, worn down, and vulnerable. Her leather jacket was spotted with rain, her brow furrowed with annoyance, and yet, there was something fragile beneath her frustration. "Need a hand?" Daniel called, his voice carrying over the rain. She turned, surprised. Most people in this town avoided strangers, too wary, too tired, too wrapped up in their own troubles. But Daniel wasn't most people. "I think the engine's dead," she muttered, pushing her hair from her face. "Of course, on the one night I needed it to work." Daniel crouched beside the bike, his daughter clutching his back. "I can take a look. I'm a mechanic. Well, when I'm not running after her." He smiled at his little girl, who peeked shyly at the stranger. The woman hesitated. Trust didn't come easily to her. But something in Daniel's eyes, the weariness mixed with quiet kindness, made her nod. He worked in the rain with nothing but his rough hands and a few tools he always carried in his backpack. His daughter passed him the wrench like a tiny assistant, giggling softly when he smeared grease on his cheek. The stranger watched, her guarded expression softening. She hadn't seen this kind of love, simple, raw, unadorned, in years. "There," Daniel said at last, standing up with a grunt. "It'll run now? Not perfect, but enough to get you home." The woman stared at him. "You didn't even ask for anything." He shrugged. "You look like you needed help. That's enough." Her throat tightened. People didn't do that for her anymore. Not without strings attached. "I'm Clara," she whispered, almost reluctant to say her real name. "Thank you." Daniel smiled faintly. "Daniel. And this troublemaker's Lily." Lily waved. "Daddy fixes everything." Clara forced a smile, but inside, her chest ached. She had all the wealth in the world, empires, investments, power, but no one who would fix her broken pieces without expecting something back. And here, on a rain-soaked street, a single dad who had so little had just given her more than anyone in years. Kindness with no price tag. When she revved the bike and it purred again, her eyes burned with unshed tears. She pressed a business card into his hand. "If you ever need, well, anything, call me." Daniel nodded politely, slipping the card into his pocket. He didn't read it, didn't notice the embossed logo worth billions. He just waved her off, picked up his daughter, and walked home through the rain, unaware of the storm of change that had just begun. Days turned into weeks. Daniel went back to long shifts, scraped meals, and bedtime stories by candlelight when the power was cut again. Yet sometimes, when he emptied his pocket change, he found that sleek business card and wondered if Clara was okay. He never called. He wasn't the type to ask for help. Clara, on the other hand, couldn't stop thinking about him. She had money, fame, power, but no trust. Everyone in her world wanted something from her. Daniel had wanted nothing but to help. For the first time in years, she had felt seen, not as a billionaire, not as a business magnate, but as a woman stranded in the rain. One evening, she returned, not in a limousine, not surrounded by bodyguards, but quietly, on the same bike. Daniel was closing up the garage, Lily perched on a stool eating crackers. "You again?" he asked, wiping his hands. "Me again," she said softly. "I wanted to thank you properly." He chuckled. "The bike's still running, right? That's thanks enough." But Clara wasn't laughing. Her voice wavered. "You don't understand. People they don't just help me. Not without wanting something. And you did." Daniel frowned, studying her. There was pain in her eyes, loneliness hidden behind her expensive clothes. Slowly he nodded. "Maybe that's the problem. People forget that sometimes the smallest kindness is the biggest thing we can give." Clara swallowed hard. She wanted to tell him the truth, to reveal the empire she ruled, the billions she commanded. But she was terrified he would look at her differently. So instead, she came back again and again, bringing small things, groceries, books for Lily, excuses to see them. Each visit chipped away at her walls. Each laugh, with Lily filled cracks in her heart, she thought would never heal. And one evening, when Daniel's car broke down and he muttered about not being able to afford repairs, Clara's secret finally spilled. She confessed who she was. Not just Clara, but Clara Whitmore, heiress of one of the largest fortunes in the country. Daniel stood frozen, grease-stained hands curling into fists. He felt tricked, small, like the universe had played a cruel joke. But then Clara's voice broke. "I wasn't searching for someone to fix my bike," she whispered. "I was searching for someone who could see me. And you did." Silence filled the room, broken only by Lily's soft voice. "Daddy, she's lonely." Daniel's heart cracked open. He realized then that kindness had pulled them together. His act, born of compassion in the rain, had reached beyond poverty, beyond wealth, beyond fear. Slowly, he reached for Clara's hand. And for the first time, she felt loved for who she truly was. Moral of the story: true kindness asks for nothing, and in giving it freely, we often find the love and humanity we've been searching for all along.